So here we are with me with no dates, no nothing. It's a blur. It feels like it was ages ago, but I think it premiered in 93.
I think so too.
93.
In New York.
Yes, because my dad came up to see it. That's the last thing he saw me do. He was so proud of that, and he loved, you didn't meet him, I don't think.
I did not meet him, no.
He just loved the fact that there's this actor on stage walking around. He was fascinated by you,
Yeah, oh my goodness. Well, I was terrified. I was terrified about the whole thing. First of all, you all are crazy because you don't have previews. Like what I learned from that, which I still don't know, is like, you don't know what questions to ask when you're doing something for the first time, right? So you all do not have previews. You don't do nothing like that. You just go out stage. And not only that, if you recall, this was one of those Ailey galas. So there were all these celebrities there. And I remember standing backstage with this whole text in my mind that had to be like word for word. And out goes Denzel Washington to welcome the crowd. Well, the people went crazy.
He was there for that? Wow.
Yeah, he was the one who came and said, good evening or whatever.
Yeah,
now I'm used to being in absolute quiet for about 2 hours before I go on stage when I
had all this going on.
Yeah,
it was
and
all
there's Denzel, and the girls falling in the aisles.
Well, you know what? It really, everybody doesn't work the same way I did, I mean, I was like going, here, put this over here, put that, stick them over there. And, at one point, as I told you yesterday, I was looking at you in the middle of rehearsal. We're in the middle of some section. The dancers were looking at me like, okay, what's the next step? Somebody asked me, are you in a fantasy? And I remember I was so insulted by that because it came from somebody I want to hear from. And the next thing I knew, I didn't answer. I just kept going on and going on. And the next thing I knew, there you were standing there and you said, oh, you want me to come this way and go down that way? And I went, yes, that's exactly what I want you to do. I had not a clue. So you were like the bulwark, you were like there and anchor for me. I swear to God you were. And
I didn't feel like no anchor, I got to tell you that.
Gosh, and that you even said yes to me was a miracle because I had just seen Fires in the Mirror.
Yeah.
Yes. And I went back like twice to see it, and I was going like, oh my goodness. And I didn't even think about, should I ask her? The thought came to me as, let me ask her, in that kind of way.
Yeah.
I didn't think about the magnitude of all of this, that you were going to be a part of this adventure I was going on that I had no idea where it would lead me. So I thank you for being that anchor, even though you didn't think you were.
Well, what I learned from it was, I don't know if you recall, we lived in the same apartment building. That was just a coincidence. The Zeckendorf Towers.
Yes.
And I was living in San Francisco, so I was only there because of Fires in the Mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember you coming over to my apartment, and you had a whole bunch of newspapers, which apparently I learned later that was also Alvin, that he read all the papers in the morning, like you had the Times, you had the Post, you had this, you had that. And you came in and you sat down and you told me what you wanted, and you were out of my apartment in 15 minutes.
Wow.
Done.
Yeah.
I had said yes. I was clear about what you wanted to do, and boom, done. And I remember you explained it. What you said you had in your mind was, you said what you saw in your mind was this long, long staircase, and all of the Ailey dancers coming down, and it just going on
Spiral.
and on.
Yes.
The spiral that kept going on and on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes.
So that was like, I thought, well, you know what? Like, you need to have your stuff together. That's like a 15-minute meeting.
Yes. Well, right. You can't say it in the first 5 minutes. It can't be done, right? You might as well get to your point as soon as you can. And besides that, I was nervous. I was You know, it's the whole 9 yards. Everything that goes with trying to create something out of something, but you don't know what it is, what it's going to turn out to be. I mean, that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
To a certain extent, you know, but you don't know.
You know, I had never been in an environment with people like the Alvin Ailey dancers or the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater.
Amazing.
That was what you call yourself. It was like 30 people.
It was 31 dancers.
31 dancers.
And Chaya and myself and whoever else was in the room.
The designers, the lighting designer, the sound designer was there.
Yes, yes. I know.
You know how they are. They have on like rags. They don't. That's what they wear. They don't wear clothes. Dancers. They wear rags tied around them in all kinds of different ways, and nobody's rags is the same. And you know, there are all these bodies, and whatever the look was on my face, the lighting designer leaned over to me and said, "I know, makes you want to go to the gym, right?"
It does, and they have good hearts, as you well know because you talk to them.
I did talk to all.
You nailed them too, because they were. Not only did you nail them by just, if I closed my eyes, I wouldn't even have to know who was talking. If I opened my eyes, you even had the mannerisms of the person. But I mean, that's what you do. You inhabit the person, you know? And that to me was just a wonderment to see that happen and kind of come together the way it did, you know, because I wasn't sure who you interviewed. Remember, I didn't know how many people you had interviewed.
I talked to everybody.
Everybody, right? And then you made the decision. Well,
I think, as I recall, the decision was joint because don't forget, you were the one who was going to be creating choreography.
Right. It was joint, but I remember wanting you to feel comfortable about the recordings of these people. You know, I mean, I wanted you to feel comfortable about being able to do it, and then recreating it in that first performance and the second, or how many did you do with us?
Well,
it wasn't many, right?
Well, most were done that first year.
Yeah, right.
I think the first year.
Yes.
And then I met you in LA and I did it there. I don't know if you know this, but when my agent was making the arrangements, he called me up and he said, now, you know, he said, I don't know. He said, dancers are different than actors. He said, because they want you to do interviews all day long. And he said, I even said to them, well, she needs a lunch break. And they said, oh, we'll bring in some fruit. So y'all put me in a room in Baltimore. You put me in a room and you sent these people in one right after the other. But I have to tell you, everybody, it's too bad we couldn't do every single interview was absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. But just these amazing stories about where everybody came from.
I know. And that's what makes up the Alvin Ailey American Dance Series. Everybody's coming with this richness of their own, you know, from wherever they're from, and they bring that with them. And Alvin loved that. You know, he loved what we brought with us. So we could all explore who we were, you know, as people, and therefore be able to do what we did on stage. Otherwise it was vacant, you know?
Well, this whole idea of he didn't like cookie cutter dancers.
Right.
You know, he was interested, didn't want everybody to look exactly the same. Which is
he did.
Makes it unique, right?
Absolutely unique in physicality, but also in your, you know, your individual experiences from when you were born, you know, and also in even that they're so different that when we come together, all of a sudden we can move as a unit because we're all human. We're all part of this madness, which I don't always think is madness, that you can bring it together on a stage and there becomes clarity all of a sudden. Oh, you know, people go like, oh.
Now I have a question for you is how you came up with the title, Him. for it. Do you remember that?
How
Why?
I can't, no, I maybe because I ran out of things to call it. Except I was thinking of homage, and I was thinking also had I written yeah, I had also worked with Jackie Onassis on this book, right? And had French heritage, right? So she would say homage, when I would be in general talking to her, right? And for some reason, that kind of went through my head as an homage. It would be like a hymn, like a classic hymn,
Yeah.
a remembrance, a hymn, though, something that, standard, his eye is on the sparrow, and
Yeah.
So it would be this thing that you would remember, right? So hymn was the easiest thing that it came to my mind. Hymn. And that seemed to fit. It just seemed to fit. And then you see everybody at one point when they're in the ensemble looking off to stage right, up and off to stage right. They all have this posing that they do, kind of contracted and raising their right arm up and looking toward what I think I call it downstage right as the North Star when you're looking up there. And it's an homage to Alvin that when they're doing this, when they're putting their hands here, that when they point up this way to that North Star, it takes their breath away. So they go like this as the arm goes up, right? Now you don't see that on everybody, but that's the idea that he's still around us. He's still with us. We're still trying to touch him physically, but he's North Star now. And so
was that reminiscent of a gesture?
That's an homage.
Is that reminiscent of a gesture in Revelations at all, that pointing?
Well, no, not really. But
Not
everybody points at it, everybody. I mean, we're pointing like that in Rev, with the fans and the whole thing.
That's what I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But I didn't even think of that. But I didn't think of that though. Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
And it was also the unity of the whole thing in the beginning section. And I know what was significant is using his voice
at the beginning.
In the beginning, and then you
the end.
Woo! That was so incredible when you just slid right over there like that. Yes, you did. That was beautiful.
He has an extraordinary voice.
Yes.
Beautiful voice. Yeah. Really a lot of richness and volume and robust. I would say he had a robust voice.
Yes.
Also don't forget, this was one of the last times, I think, but the other thing that you chronicled in him was many of the people, not everybody knew Alvin.
Right.
Maybe the greater majority didn't. Mr. Ailey. And
also I gave you not a list, but I said things like, ask them, why are they still here? Why are they dancing in this company? You didn't know him, so what are you still doing here? Really, I wanted that kind of confrontational kind of, why are you doing it anyway, And those questions, whatever I gave you, whatever you asked them, evoked such real truth out of them, really honest stories. There was no room to make up stuff.
Yeah.
The candy toast or, do anything extra. No grace notes, just lay it out there.
But it was astonishing to hear them talk when, what you're used to is this, their physical persona.
There were exquisite performances out of each and every individual that was on the stage, including when they were in groups. I was shocked when I saw the premiere, and the stage just rose. I mean, it just they lifted. That's the thing about Ailey dancers. They'll lift a stage for you in a heartbeat. It's not just about dancing. They know they have to, you know, dance to a certain standard. That's unheard of, but they achieve it and then go even further the more they do it. You know, it gets richer the more they perform. And I know that was like, I know we were throwing stuff at you. You know, you were. We were throwing the interview, all of them at the same time, one right after the other. And then we were talking about the cans. Remember we used to call them cans?
Yeah, see, that's another thing you know, of course I was never happy with that's another thing that I didn't know that would be different in the theater. I was never happy with the tape because I was speaking them with their voices in my ear. So the timing was actually off from what their timing would have really been. But, you know, with the dance company, it's very different. Once the music is set, it's set. And by the way, you know, because I think I came back the next season and did it. And I would spend like 2 weeks learning this thing again and trying to get it word perfect. And then they were so polite. You know, they would say, "Oh, well, it's always interesting. It's always interesting. You're here, Anna," because they were used to the tape.
Yes.
They were used to dancing to the tape. Now, I could never be as perfect as the tape, but they were so polite. It's always interesting. But they need those words to be right because it's notes. It's notes for them.
It is. It's music to their ears, and so they're used to hearing that. And I knew it wasn't repeatable. I mean, you know, it just isn't. I think of it as Wynton playing the same thing over and over again, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
When that happened, I was kind of cringing at the same time because I was going like, well, let me say, how do I say this to you? But they would give you little points.
They adjusted to it. They adjusted to it.
It just didn't matter. We were so happy to have you. I was. Everybody was.
It was a major gift for me. A major, major gift.
Okay, what else we got?
What else we got?
The film was great. We have to mention Orlando.
I know. Well, yes. And was it your idea or his idea?
He came to us. I never think of, oh yeah, let's film this. I never thought of that. It's the same thing, but well, with the commercial that they did later that premiered at the Super Bowl and at the Academy Awards and all that, you know, to use bits and pieces of it. But the actual putting that together in the St. John the Divine with, was that heavenly or what?
It's beautiful.
I keep seeing you like, remember when we walked toward each other?
I remember it on stage more than.
But you don't remember it there because it was shorter. Okay. We were on, but it's the same thing where we had to like freeze. And I look at it and I go like, gosh, you're walking better than me. This is exactly what I was supposed to do.
That is not true.
No, because yours was it was exactly what dancers sometimes add stuff, and yours was absolutely clear.
Well, that's all I could do.
I'm trying to do that. That's what I choreographed, and you're doing what I choreographed. But you're doing it's clear and to the point. It's a beautiful moment. But being in St. John the Divine was glorious. At forever long, however we were there for a long time shooting. I know, like
that film.
3 segments.
But you know, so Alvin Ailey's funeral was there, wasn't it?
Oh yes. It was terribly significant that we were back in that church.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. So they're the homage.
You know what we forgot to talk about? What? My man whose piece was, I feel I have nothing. Because he was one of the young ones.
Yes.
I have nothing.
Yeah.
As cute as he could be.
Yeah.
Because he was saying, like, I don't have, which was also, it's not just that some of them were people who did not know Alvin Ailey. Mm-hmm. They didn't have the same relationship to race as the older ones. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We would do it now. given what's going on, everybody would think they had the same relationship to race. But it's a very different situation than you and the other people in the original company who were going around in a station wagon doing revelations in a eye. And what has become of you. I can't even imagine what it was like to dance in the South. So that's what he was really recognizing, is that his experience in race, and I guess he felt that race was also to some extent important, which it is, although you have all kinds of choreographers and different stories.
Yes, absolutely. Alvin wanted to be as broadly based as possible, because he thought already with him just setting foot on stage, it was a political statement. You even say that when you're translating, so his point was, I'm sorry, say again?
He said it's a social statement too.
Yes, exactly. And so Alvin was always trying to go, okay, I step on stage, you already have this in your mind, I gotta make a political statement. There are also other things that I do as an artist. I choreograph ballets that are not necessarily anything about politics or anything else. Maybe it's just because it's beautiful, or I like the sound of the music, or like any other artist, But if you're going to categorize me, then I'm going to serve it up to you on a platter, and tell you the truth, because the subjects that he chose way beforehand, Mandela, he did a ballet, he did a Massacre de Langage, which is about South Africa, way before, people were attacking apartheid. Revelations in 1960, celebrating African-American cultural expression and experience, modern dance tradition. About, when I say all that, I know what it means, but I think people, they need to think about that, because that's what Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater is about the culture and how open the culture is, that it can embrace everyone,
Yeah.
So that's part of what he was about, and his love of dancers. He loved dancers. He loved the whole theatrical experience. So I wish he had been around to see him, because I think
I would have, first of all, I would have loved to meet him. I mean, that would have been very special. It was special to meet you.
Alvin used to say, you're dancing for a living. It's dancing, and he'd say, I'm here for you. What I want you to do is to educate, to uplift people when they see you, and show some levity, and don't forget, you're entertainers. He would just make that very plain to us, okay, educate, uplift, entertain. You're on a stage, for God's sake, so tell your truth, but remember those things clearly, remember it clearly, and then aspire to what you think it is, at least, and go 2,000% of what you think it is. I can't stand when people waste my time and they're kind of, like, I'm not quite sure it's this, or I'm not quite sure it's, no. Go for what you think it is.
But that's the whole part of your monologue. Go to the wall.
Absolutely.
If you're not going to take it to the wall, then what are you doing here? What's the point? What are you doing here?
Yes.
Right? It's right there. Go to the wall.
That is my motto, because life goes too fast and the bodies break down very fast. Well, not so fast, but take it while you have it. I mean, the joy of being able to move in that instrument called your body and put your mind with it, your heart, your spirit, your soul. And it's divine. It is nothing but divine. Performance is divine. You know that.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Bye. Bye.